What's good, everyone? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of What the Game Means to Me. I'm, of course, one half of the pod, Jelani Brown. I'm a co-host with me again today. Daddy's Bell. How you doing today, sir?
What's good, man? Glad to be back after about 2 weeks off. Ready to talk about the Super Bowl and a lot of other things. So, let's get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like Dad said, of course, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. Probably wrap up the show with that because we'll have probably like a special little episode on Saturday going over our Super Bowl predictions, performances, probably some NFL props as well, or Super Bowl props as well. But today, of course, like I said, we had about 2 weeks off. A lot of news happened. Talk about a little bit about the Brian Flores situation and diversity issue that's ongoing in the NFL. Some news from MLB as well, not testing for steroids during this period. But also got here on the NBA. We're going to talk trade deadline, some AllStars, and then also finish up with something that may have grinded our gears this week. But before we get into all that, of course, we'll drop the tape.
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win!
Don't you open your mouth about the best. Or I'm going to shut it for you real quick. LOB.
Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Lewis gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer.
Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
What was your mindset when you stepped in the batter's box?
Go yard. I mean, I'm a pitcher. Why not swing as hard as I can? I got nothing to lose.
It's nothing to man above. Don't put you in situations that you can't handle. Instead of saying, why me? They're saying this is what he want me to do. And, Cleveland! This is for you!
The way we approach the game, the same way we approach life. You do the right thing. You make the right play. Make the right play. And in life, it's the same thing. What do you feel in your heart is the right thing to do? And you do that. It seems so simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things to do. And I think it's just that.
Welcome to
What?
The game.
Me.
To me.
All right. And we are back. Like I said, first thing we're going to hit on is the Brian Flores situation. Something or nothing. I feel like it's an easy one. It's definitely something. A lot of people feel like he's doing this, and he may not ever see a light of the NFL team, at least heading it again. But I think he's still. Well, no, they just hired Lovie Smith in there, so I think he was still in the running for a head coaching spot. But all in all, a lot of people feel like he's standing up for the ongoing situation of the lack of diversity in the NFL amongst head coaches. Feel like he had an unfair shot at a lot of interviews, had an unfair shot, even at the Dolphins head coaching job they just had, which a lot of people feel like he should definitely still be a head coach in this day and age in this NFL, especially given what he's done with that Dolphins team. So of course he sued the NFL this past week. I feel like he's gathered up a lot of information and a lot of evidence to prove his case. But Dad, what do you think about this situation? Do you think he's right? Do you think he's wrong? Some people have, obviously some owners and GMs have come out to say a lot of the stuff that he's saying is completely false, and they have, I guess, their evidence to back it up as well. But what do you think about this situation? Do you think Brian Flores is right? Do you think he'll ever see a coaching job again? What do you feel about it?
I think it's something. I don't think he'll see another head coaching opportunity just because, of the way they're going to take this to owners, the league. They don't like being sued. But he's definitely right. You have people like Jim Caldwell himself who had average seasons, maybe a little bit above average, and then you have other coaches that have done far worse, and they still get opportunities. Jim Caldwell got fired after going 9-7. Brian Flores turned around the season; they were 1-7, completely out of it, looking at like a top 5 draft pick, and then they were eliminated after a loss in Week 17 to the Titans. But they were in the thick of a playoff race, and you get fired because of that, and some disagreements with the GM. I think it's just pretty much unfair. And the lack of diversity in with head coaches is, it's upsetting at times. I just think they need to allow for more fair opportunities. Don't add anything extra into it. Give everybody the same amount of ample opportunities that you give the other coaches. So he's right, but him speaking out is good. Everybody knows it's been going on for a while, but him speaking out and suing and putting this into action is gonna, it's gonna help out a lot of people in the future, I think. But it's unfortunately gonna stop him or prohibit him from ever being the head coach again. And I think he was a very good head coach, but he stood for something bigger at the time. Yeah. So, but I definitely think it's something.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing here. Something. The one thing I do remember last week that was kind of funny to me. It wasn't the reason it all came out, but after it came out, it was one of the bigger stories. Of course, Bill Belichick, the text messages that Brian Flores has from Bill Belichick saying, basically telling him congratulations when he thought that he was texting the ball, who eventually, ended up getting the head coaching job in New York. Some people were saying that it probably wasn't on purpose and that Bill Belichick did it for, a bigger reason, kind of, bring some of this stuff to light, kind of just joking in a way, but others say, it's funny to see one of the greatest head coaches, if not the greatest head coach in NFL history, can't even use a cell phone. And that's the reason all this is even coming about. So what do you think? What side are you on? Do you think it's true? Do you think he accidentally did send this, these texts and congratulations to Brian Flores, thinking he was talking to the ball, or, it was kind of a, he kind of had inside information, maybe knew this would be a possibility or something that Brian Flores may, took to court and, bring a big issue that has been a big issue, but bring the issue to a bigger light in Brian Flores suing the NFL.
This is a tough one. I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Belichick was working with Flores in a way. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing, but I just think Bill Belichick, he's a very smart person. He's like he takes time. He doesn't rush through things. I'm pretty sure he's gonna look at the text message. I don't know how you get Flores and Dayball. Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, they're both named Brian, but they're probably like BF and then BD. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how you make a mistake like that. But I have sent a wrong text message to somebody before, but one like this, I don't know. But I can see it going both ways.
Yeah.
Pretty torn in between the two.
Yeah, same here. I kind of, just for the sake of it, I like that, like the side of he kind of did it for a greater purpose. Kind of like I think I seen some memes, him doing having like an evil laugh or evil smirk or whatever the case may be on his face, and that he kind of did it to stir some stuff up on the NFL. But like you said, kind of. Not in cahoots, but basically, kind of had a kind of a mutual agreement, mutual understanding. Like he shouldn't have been fired. Obviously, like you said, 1-7 to basically coming down to the last game of the season to where your playoff hopes are on the line, and then still get fired. All the turmoil that was going on in the organization, obviously, Tua in and out. And they have Ryan Fitzpatrick, a lot of different injuries. I know they definitely didn't start the year off how they expected to. A lot of people expected them to be in playoff contention from the jump, but a lot of things that they were going through as an organization. But it also came out like he wanted a little bit more control than what he already had and was given. And I don't know if that obviously that would partially went to the firing as well. But just interesting to see, like you say, the route that he's taking, and. I don't know if he wins the case or not. I feel like this is definitely one of those things that's going to be a behind closed. Like it's going to go on for a minute. Behind closed doors settlement is going to happen. He's going to get his pay or whatever the case may be. Because I'm sure all of this isn't coming out of the blue. Like it's not all from nowhere. Like I'm sure he has a good amount of proof, even through some of the interview processes that he had, and not just those text messages. But it definitely is sad, but like everybody keeps saying, it kind of feels like one of those Kaepernick feel, like has like kind of like a Colin Kaepernick feel to where like it's we're probably not going to see him as a head coach, if not a coach at all on this level anymore. So, but like you said, definitely deserving. I feel like he should be coaching somewhere if we go around look around the league. Like even his replacement, like I don't know too much about Mike McDaniels, but I would definitely feel like I would have went at least another year with Brian Flores, versus, a younger offensive coordinator, for the 49ers. So I feel like a lot of their success, not saying it's from him, I don't want to take, credit from him, but definitely some of the players that they have, running back central, they just find great talent. I think I would probably give most of their props to, the player personnel or their scouting team or scouters versus, maybe the offensive coordinator in that sense. Because there's sometimes, the offense is running, but also sometimes the offense stalls. It could be because of Jimmy G, it could be because of play calling, but I think it's mainly the players that they have. Like, they do a great job of drafting, especially in skill positions. But who am I? But
I agree with everything, including the the Kaepernick part as well. So spot on.
Yeah. Next, though, gonna move on. Something or nothing. It's actually, came out a few days ago, but the MLB is going to stop testing for steroids. Although it may be it's only during the period that they're having a lockout right now. It's the first time in 20 years this has happened, though. But they're not going to be testing during the lockout period. I believe the agreement, obviously, between them and forgot the specific organization, but basically with the lockout, the timing of the contract and everything expired with them testing for performance-enhancing drugs and everything. So it is a possibility that some of these players, may take performance-enhancing drugs during this time period. I don't really know how that works to where, like, obviously, I don't think they're going to start the season on time. That's the first thing. I feel like if they would have definitely gotten something figured out by now, because this is the time where training camp would, be up and running by now. Some of the games will be starting to play in March, and then they're right at it, April and May. So I don't think the season is going to start in time at all. But I don't know how it works. Say, like, some people do, experiment with the performance-enhancing drugs during this time period, and then they test positives at some point in the season. Is it just let go? Is it not? Like, I don't really know how that works. Definitely got to read more into it. But do you think it's, something or nothing that this news actually came out like a week or a few days after, obviously, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Pete Rose, were pretty much exiled forever from being elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So something or nothing, what do you think about the MLB stopping testing for steroids?
I think it's something, and I don't really understand it. If you're going to keep Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens out of the Hall of Fame forever because of steroids, why are you doing this? I know it was common back then, and a lot of people did, even Alex Rodriguez, a lot of people, David Ortiz, all those people, but they're still in. I don't really understand that, but I definitely think it's something because, after all these years of punishing players for taking steroids, you're going to, allow it. But not get in trouble for taking them. So I don't really understand it, but it's definitely something. I like to see those guys that got punished, the numerous amount of guys that got, punished for taking steroids to get their punishment lifted or something.
Yeah, especially those guys that we talked about last week because, they're all-time leaders in stat categories. It's like, how you going to have all-time leaders in stat categories not in the Hall of Fame? It's like, what's the purpose of having the Hall of Fame then? Like, yeah, you're like all-time hitter, all-time home run leader, and one of the greater pitchers that, won multiple Cy Youngs, not in the Hall of Fame. Like, what are we doing here? But, it's definitely weird. It's going to be interesting to see. I already feel like the baseball season has already been messy, obviously, since the lockout started. They really haven't had any type of, progress in talks. Now this contract has expired, with them, testing players with performance-enhancing drugs. They don't look like they're going to start on time. This could very much be a summer. I don't know how many people care, but this very much could be a summer where either shorten baseball again or no baseball at all. And, it just opens it up, I guess, for other stuff. I know, I don't know if it's this year or next year. I know these other football leagues are starting, USFL or something. Yeah. And eventually supposed to be getting another one back as well. I forgot. Whichever one got cut off in the middle of the season.
The XFL.
XFL, yeah. So I don't know. Everybody's always been on baseball. Like, they're the only ones that don't want to, come around to change. They don't want to conform to change. But it's starting to look like more and more they need to. And I think sometime in the near future, they're probably going to stop testing for steroids as a whole.
Yeah, probably.
A lot of people say it's going to make baseball more exciting. It could very well be. Who knows? I don't. A lot of people love to see, like I said, a grand amount of home runs. That very, very well could be on the horizon. Maybe that's what brings the younger generation into liking baseball a little bit more. But who knows? I just think it's definitely going to be. It's something now, but it's definitely going to be something when the season starts. Because I already know guys are about to start, experiment a little bit, whether they know it or not. Because sometimes guys take certain stuff and they don't know it has certain, illegal substances in it that they're being tested for. So who knows? But it's definitely going to be something throughout the season and, in the time and moment now, whether they start to play or not. But next, going to move on to the Pro Bowl. Something that happened this past week. I don't know if I didn't watch it. I watched some highlights. I know my guy Kyle Pitts caught a touchdown, first touchdown in America. I don't know if you watched it all. Did you take a look at it at all, Thad?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I'll comment in a second.
Yeah, I haven't watched it the past few years, honestly. I can't even remember the last one I watched. The last one I might have watched or remember watching is when I think Dez Bryant was in one, like fully. I think that's like one of the last ones I've watched. And that's telling, because that's probably was like 2013 or 14. I might not even been there. But all in all, NFL Pro Bowl was this past weekend. End of the years, it's supposed to be obviously a celebration, for certain guys in the season that they had. I've always, obviously, we're going to talk about NBA a little bit later, and they always have that in the middle of the year. Not that I find it weird they do it at the end of the year, but it's just like, obviously doing it at the end of the year, they don't really have much to play for. You can see like offensive line, defensive line had to put, pretty much no effort in. A lot of, touchdowns, mainly from the AFC side, because I know they won by a big margin, but, no one's really trying, and it kind of sucks to see. There's really no purpose. I know it's all for fun and games, but, obviously I think this year showed more of a lackluster performance than a lot of years past. So a lot of people have been trying to figure out, how to spice it up, make it better, make it different. And one of the things that I saw was have the two bottom teams this year, which would have been Jaguars, their team that, and the other team, the Detroit Lions, face off, play for the number one spot, in the NFL draft. So before I kind of get your thoughts on like maybe how we can change the, the Pro Bowl or, even some of the events that took place, do you think that's a good idea?
I don't know. I think over time they have to put a lot of different alternatives together and see how they play out. But I mean, they all sound better than what, I watched on Sunday. I just remember years past, especially the year with like Sean Taylor, even slightly into the 2010s, they weren't going 100%, but they were tackling. They weren't, not playing two-hand touch. Like the only person that probably played with a little bit of passion on Sunday was Michael Parsons. He sacked Patrick Mahomes, and then he pushed Deontay Johnson. He gave him a nice little shove. But besides that, it was just really – I understand guys going into contract years, some of them, just not trying to get hurt after a long season, a 17-game season, an 18-week season. Not trying to get hurt, but it's kind of hard to watch. I probably watched like a quarter and a half, but I had something on the other TV because I wasn't really paying attention. And it wasn't much, Even on the interception returns, guys weren't even trying to get tackled.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a lot of fake touchdowns. So
yeah, I think
more overall to watch. But I mean, I understand it. I like the other stuff leading up to it though, like the skills challenge, the quarterback accuracy stuff like that. I want them to bring the the stuff back from the early 2000s when they had like the, which quarterback could throw the farthest and some of the accuracy competitions, but during the week. But just overall, the Pro Bowl is taking a hit. Not a lot of people even watch it anymore. I was surprised that many people were tuned in. I just tuned in for a second, but yeah, overall, pretty much disappointing. But that's what I expected. It's been trending that way. Like, this year was probably the worst, but last year and the year before last, it was just as bad.
It was just as bad, yo.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's mainly, especially on the interception returns, like they could at least try a little bit of effort. Because I remember we had Winfield caught one, swerving, weaving through everybody. I forgot another one. I think it was either defensive lineman or a linebacker that caught one, I think maybe for the AFC. Same thing. Like, it could have put just a little bit more effort. Like, obviously, like, it's all in fun and good games, but it's like, they're joking around so much to where they put, Trayvon Diggs as a receiver and obviously lined up his brother across from him. I don't know how long it was for, but obviously, I seen the highlights, so at least it was for a player too. So just certain stuff that, I guess it's a little bit entertaining to watch, but at the same time, like, not at all. It's supposed to be the best of the best going against each other. Like you said, you don't want to go too hard because you don't want to get hurt. Affect your team's chances in the next year or even your health as a whole. But, I don't know. I just feel like something could be changed. Something can be different. And like I said, guess we could talk. Like I said, one of the things on Twitter was bottom 2 seeds playing for that number 1 spot in the NFL draft. Do you ever foresee that even being an option, being a thing that happens? Like I guess that's different, obviously, from the Pro Bowl because you're not really rewarding the people that are playing, or rewarding the the best stars or the best guys for that year in a sense. But do you think that's something that should change or replace the Pro Bowl? Is there any other ideas that you may feel like game wise, either to honor the best players in the game or just anything at all?
I don't really know, but I don't see them. I mean, it sounds good. I said like they can weigh the options, but I don't see 2 teams playing an extra game. I'm pretty sure some of them don't even want to, even after going like 1-15 or 0-16, they're trying to move on to the next year. So, yeah, I don't really see that part, but it would be nice, but I doubt it. The players have to agree to play.
That's true. But like I said, at least there is a little bit something on the line. But then I was thinking about it too. It's like, it's I guess it's an incentive to win. Yeah, like you get the number 1 draft pick, but at the same time, it's like you may be playing for that team to get that number 1 draft pick, and it may be your replacement, or it may be you may not even be on that team next year. Like you said, it would. I can honestly see it being like almost like bowl games nowadays. Like kind of like you would have to opt in to want to play or whatever the case may be. Like something similar to that, if that was ever an option. Like it's kind of up to the players if they want to play. But as obviously as an NFL with a contract, you're getting paid money. It's like that's obviously not an option either. Like you can't just opt in, opt out to play games or not play games. Like it's mandatory. You're gonna have to play. So I don't know. It's definitely something to think about though. Like it has to be some type of change. Obviously, we're gonna talk about it in a little bit. But the NBA All-Star Weekend is, they don't really put that great of effort. They did make a few changes, obviously, within the last few years, to make it a little bit more competitive. They're playing for charities. They have to reach a certain point limit. Each and every quarter, score resets, and it's like the winner of that quarter gets the amount of money for the charity, whatever the case would be. So it's been a little bit more competitive. Maybe they should do something like that for the Pro Bowl. I feel like that's probably one of the best options. Like whoever has the, maybe if they even do a half, they don't even have to do every quarter, but maybe a half, or whoever has the most rushing yards, money to some type of charity. Whoever has the most passing yards, or receiving touchdowns, receiving catches, receiving yards, whatever the case may be. But just little changes like that. Maybe if they kind of take little tidbits or nuggets from the NBA, move it over to the Pro Bowl, it could make it a little bit more competitive and also a little bit more meaningful as well. So hopefully, like I said, they're listening to us or listening to somebody out there for some type of changes to be made. But next, we're gonna move on to the NBA, talk a little bit of NBA before we wrap up and finish up with some Super Bowl talk. And today, I kind of want to do trade or no trade. Obviously, tomorrow, I think it's 3:00 is the trade deadline. We've already seen a few trades go through, yesterday, today, even earlier on. Like the first trade of the year probably was made by my Atlanta Hawks, sending Cam Reddish to the New York Knicks, who has only played about 20 minutes with them since he's been traded. But a lot of little trades here and there, a lot of trades I tweeted out yesterday. I think teams are just trading just to be trading. I don't really see how anybody's getting better from any of the trades that I've personally seen. The only one that's a little bit okay, and it's not even the greatest, is Larry Nance. Or not Larry Nance, my fault. CJ McCollum being traded to the Pelicans. It's not even because of him, it's because of Larry Nance. I like that move because he's an active big or active four, active big. He's on the boards, offense, defense, of rebounds. He's a decent defender, and he's rounded his game a little bit more. He can shoot the ball a little bit from the outside, but he's just an energetic guy. And obviously, they're missing Zion, who we don't know is going to play at all. So that's the only one I saw. I was like, okay, that makes it a little bit better. But at the same time, they gave up a lot of young talent. I like Shai's cousin, Alexander, who just got traded again today.
Yeah, to the Jazz. He's a solid player.
Exactly. And I like Josh Hart as well as a guard, but maybe they weren't going to pay him in the offseason. I think he was an unrestricted free agent. But like I said, I'm going to get to it, trade or no trade. I just want to throw these two on the screen because, they're probably the biggest names that's been talked about. That's a possibility. I'm thinking it's not going to happen. I've been on the train that's not going to happen. But, there's been a few reports coming out. They're making James Harden sound like a crybaby, which may not be far off. But, some of the reports that they're talking about, him pretty much just wanting out, trying to force his way to Philadelphia, whatever the case may be. I know he sat out and didn't play last night's game. But trade or no trade, James Harden for Ben Simmons, or just in general, obviously it would be this type of move because Morey wants James Harden, and obviously Ben Simmons has been sitting the whole year and wants to go somewhere else and play. But trade or no trade, do you think it happens?
I'm going to say yes because Doc Rivers, I think he came out and said it the other day. They need guards. Ben Simmons he's not going to play. He's not going to. He's willing to. He's already lost $19 million. He's willing to lose another 12. He doesn't care. So at this point, I feel like they should do it. It's going to better their team too. The Sixers, I think. It depends on what they give up because I saw rumors talking about they had to give up Thibault, Curry as well. And
that was one that was going to give up a lot today.
Yeah, that's their shooting and their defense. So I don't know. I know Tyrese Maxey's not, he's not an option, but I would go with it, if I were the Sixers. But it's all about what you're willing to give up. And I don't know if the rumors are true or not. I don't even know if they're negotiating with Daryl Morey. So we'll see. But I'm gonna say trade because there's been a lot of rumors that have came out about James Harden, and I don't know why. Like I believe that part of some of them are potentially true. So I'm gonna just be optimistic and say that they get the trade done.
Yeah,
and this will help. This will help not waste a year in Embiid, because without Simmons, I know sometimes he's a liability, especially in the fourth quarter, especially against the Hawks last year. But he's a solid player. You're not winning going to the finals without him. So I think you need to make the trade and do what you got to do so you don't waste a year of Embiid.
Yeah, I can see that as well. Like I said, it was fun. I think Jeremiah said in the chat, but it was like basically got fire with fire because obviously Morey's he's the type of GM that's like super super greedy. That's why a trade hasn't really got done with anybody at this point. I was gonna say my Hawks, but like really any team at this point because of how much he's asking for Ben. And I don't remember I can't remember. I just slipped my mind the GM's name for the Nets, but he's fire. Like I said, they asked for they asked for Seth, they asked for Thibault, they asked for Tyrese Maxey, which I know they're not letting go of him. He's having a pretty good year in Philly. And obviously Ben Simmons, and I think like a first or something. Like they was asking for something crazy, but they were like, you gotta fight fire with fire because I'm pretty sure Morey's asking for some craziness too. Like he's probably not just asking for James. He's probably asking for, maybe another player or two and even a pick, who knows. But, obviously he sees him, as a young guy, all NBA defensive guy, two years in a row. He's under contract for a while. So he's still trying to be greedy with how much he's going to get back in return. But that's the main reason why I feel like it's just not going to happen. It's just going to, something that's going to happen in the offseason. It seems like for some reason, there's so many rumors that's out there about, James Harden, wanting to go to Philly, wanting to be in Philly. Obviously, it came out a few weeks ago that he doesn't like it in New York, hasn't liked his time there. But, a few days later, doubled down and said that he wants to be there. We really haven't even seen the big three for, I don't even think more than 20 games. So it's like the experiment hasn't even taken form. It hasn't even happened, to be honest. And it's like he's kind of just giving up. Obviously, I know he's frustrated with the part-time Kyrie thing. And just it's really everything that's going on in Brooklyn. Not living there, like obviously it's tough. We talked about it. It's tough living somewhere up in the cold where you're getting like half your money taken versus coming from somewhere warm. It's pretty much just where he was made to live. Warm, strip clubs, tax-free. That screams James Harden to me. So I don't know. I don't know why he would want to force his way to Philly. Maybe he wants to play with Embiid. Maybe he sees himself winning a championship. Maybe he wants that 1-2 punch versus being with two other guys. But I don't know. I just feel like it's not going to happen because I think both GMs are going to be greedy. Philly's not going to, or Morey's not going to want to give up any less than what he's already asked. And obviously, the Nets experiment really hasn't worked. But also, he's not going to just give up James Harden for nothing in return, like just Ben Simmons in the first or something like that. So I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to wait till offseason. But who knows? We may get this bomb trade right before 3:00 tomorrow, and everybody's going to be like, "What the hell is going on?" But next, got Russell, another hot name that a lot of people want gone. People have been saying they want Russell gone probably 10 games into the season. I personally don't think it's going to happen just because I don't see anyone wanting to take on that contract. There's been some, news flown around that possibly if LeBron wants Wall instead, because obviously he's been sitting for the he's been sitting for the Rockets all year. He played last year, he looked decent. Pretty sure he's healthy. A lot of people have been, saying, like I've seen reports, if they feel like Wall is a little bit better of an option for the Lakers than Russ right now, that they can somehow make that happen. I don't see it. There was also reports that said, the Lakers don't want to include their 20. It's crazy to think they don't have a decent first rounder until 2027, but they don't want to include their 2027 first rounder with Russ in any type of deal. So I personally think he's stuck there. He's staying there. Maybe it's a move that we see in the offseason. Maybe even not. Maybe he's there to the entirety of his contract. Who knows? But traded or not, do you think Russell Westbrook goes?
No, it's not because they need him, but they can't trade him. That contract is terrible, and nobody. I think we've seen this is his fourth team in like 4 years. I think everybody's seen what he is now. It's just not a productive basketball player, not a winning basketball player. It is what it is at this point. I think they tried to make it work. I've like me being a LeBron fan. I'm like be able to turn it on come playoff time or when it gets to March and April. But 50 games in, you are what you are. And I've seen him play probably like 30 of the 50 games this year, and it's just pretty much been the same thing. Turnover machine. This is like he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. Triple double king. He's a great basketball player, but like as great as he is, he was. Like his IQ is so low. Sometimes I just really don't understand it. It's like some of the stuff we saw freshman year playing basketball with Spivey, like it's 1-on-4. You clearly see you don't have the numbers, but now I'm gonna try to finish, get an N1 or something, and just throw it up. It's hard to watch sometimes. Last night was bad. They got blown out. I turned the game off at halftime versus the Bucks, and it's just rough. It's hard to watch. But he's not getting traded. I know the Lakers and LeBron want to get rid of him. I know you saw the thing with AD when they came over the top.
Yeah, he came over the top at him on the head.
I'm probably tired, but now he's like, man, I ain't even trying to hear that, bro. Like, usually I become better. But he probably said some other stuff I can't say on here. But yeah, he's not going to get traded. That contract's terrible, and nobody wants to deal with him.
Yeah, I don't see it at all. Another one that I did see though was him possibly going back to the Wizards. Now that Bradley Beal's out for the year, underwent season ending, I guess, wrist surgery. And that was one guy I was going to put on here, but obviously he kind of took himself out of that conversation with making that decision. But they said that they thought about, or not thought about, but that was a rumor that he could possibly go back to the Wizards. And I was thinking that too. I was like, it'd be crazy if they literally just made the same trade right back. Like, obviously Kuz, Harold, and everybody goes back to LA, but it's not happening because Kuz and Harold have been playing, really, really good basketball for the Wizards. Although they've been on, kind of like a downward spiral since the first few games of the season where they were in that top three. But they've been playing great. So obviously, I highly doubt they would make that trade back. But they said that Russ Russ made a lot of the guys better there. I think they said, Russ, and he played better around I think Rui, and a few other guys that they had there. I think Rui, Denny, and a few other. Players that they have on the roster that Russell played decent last year and then also made those guys better as well. But yeah, he's stuck there, and it's sad because it's another wasted year of LeBron, another wasted year of AD, who's actually looked okay. Besides last night, Giannis was eating him up. But besides, since he's came back from his injury, he's looked pretty well, and obviously LeBron has been playing well this year as well. So I don't know. It definitely sucks, that Russ has to stay there, and he may be pretty much, the catalyst of why they may not get past the first round if they get past the play-in at all. So, sorry Lakers, sorry LeBron, sucks to see. Next, I got just any Knicks player. They literally just want to trade their whole team besides probably RJ. Julius has been in trade talks. We've been talking a little bit about trading Mitch, Alex Berg, Fournier and Kimba, who they just signed this year. So literally any Knicks player. Do you think they just make a move in general? Like Knicks Twitter is up in flames right now. They don't know who they want to keep, who they want to get rid of, what they should do with this team. They're on a downward spiral. I think they're like 24-30 right now. I don't know what direction they're going in. It's really crazy to kind of see the fall off. Like I know the Hawks ain't played the greatest as they supposed to have been this year, but at least we've had like 2 8-game winning streaks. Like we can kind of put it together when we have a full squad here and there. So. Do you think they make a move at all? Anybody goes?
No. I would say, as bad as Julius Randle has been at times, body language, attitude, all that stuff. He played well, especially last night. Well, when they played Utah last, I think that was last night or the night before last. I just don't think, nobody really wants Alec Burks, and I think they like Mitch Robinson. He brings a lot of energy, especially on the defensive end, and he's been solid, at times. So I think the Knicks fans are just being a little bit emotional, They expected a lot after last year, having a good season, only to get smacked by the Hawks, and they just had really, really high expectations going into the season, and they've just been disappointed. So they've been, like you said, they've pretty much been up in flames, just been going at each other, coming at what did they be talking about on the spaces? Coming at people on the Knicks fan TV, the female, all that stuff. They're just, they're all over the place because they're expecting greatness after one solid year, which I really don't understand, but. I don't think the Knicks get rid of any of these people. I know they're always talking about they need a point guard, but I don't see them getting one. But you never know. Sometimes the deadline can get wild, and it was a crazy year in the NFL. It might get crazy in the NBA. There could be a blockbuster trade before 3 p.m. So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's gonna maybe not smaller trades. I mean, Alec Burke is a vital role, I guess, in their rotation. But I think they somehow find a suitor for Kemba, Alec, maybe even Fournier. Like, he's just been so up and down. I think that's why, but also Knicks Twitter they just be dramatic, So he has good games. He's had good games. He has decent games. He's had, I think, a few good games against us, but he also has terrible games as well. I know it's not dramatic to ask for consistency, for someone that you're giving like what, 18 million to 19 million. It might be more than that, honestly. It might be like 20 million. I forgot what the contract number is, but it's not terrible for consistency from him. But I feel like they may keep him. I feel like they do make maybe little smaller trades to hopefully get Cam Reddish in the rotation. I don't know, but then again, also they said that Tim didn't even want Cam Reddish on the team at all. So maybe they trade Cam. I don't think he can be traded. I don't think he can be traded. I think he has to stay on the roster for the remainder of the year. But they probably find a suitor for Kemba, maybe Alec Burke as well. And maybe Nerlens Noel. Like, they have a decent amount of bigs that like could probably be used on other teams. Like, they got him, Taj, Mitch, Obi. One of those guys is probably gonna go. I don't know who and for what, but they just feel like they need to make some type of change so they can just get back into that play-in scenario. But I don't know. I'm kind of with you as well. I feel like they can't make a move. They don't make a move. If so, it's just going to be a smaller one. I don't think they get rid of Julius. Obviously, they don't get rid of RJ. I don't even think they get rid of Obi or Emmanuel quickly. It's probably going to signs are pointing to Kemba or Alec Burke, one of those two. Other than that, I think
if they can find a trade partner, though.
Yeah, I feel like they can find somebody for Alec. Like, he's a decent scorer, decent ball handler, and creator for himself, and plays okay defense. They typically sometimes try to put him on trade when we play them. So, I think they could find a suitor for him. Kemba, it may be a little bit harder just because his knees. I mean, he doesn't have a crazy contract because he got bought out, but his knees, he's in and out. He hasn't been as consistent. Hasn't played that well the last 2 years. So I'm sure somebody can use a point guard that can handle the ball, and maybe run an offense, and be able to score and create for themselves a little bit. But those two are probably going to be the ones that's going to be gone. But next, got Buddy Hield. He just got traded, obviously, to Indiana with Halliburton. Kings, Twitter, whatever, Reddit, they're pissed. They're absolutely they're just done with the team. They did not want Hallie to go. I'm pretty everybody. Buddy Hield's been in trade conversations the past 2-3 years, so I don't think they're too mad about that. But they're pissed about Halliburton. But anyway, Buddy Hield's Indy. Indy said that they're willing to flip him before tomorrow. A lot of people have been saying the Lakers, but I don't really know what they had to give up. Everybody, like, the only thing everybody's been saying is like Tyler Horton and a first, but they don't even want to include the first. So I don't know. And I don't really know who really wants THT like that. I feel like the Lakers organization kind of hyped him up a little bit more than what he really is. I feel like, maybe on a team where it's not expectations, he can kind of shine a little bit more, but I don't think the Indiana would want like THT in like a second rounder or whatever for him. Maybe they include another player, who knows, but he could get traded tomorrow, and they said they're very willing to do so. So, and there's a lot of teams that could use a shooter at this moment, especially in the postseason. But traded or not, do you think Buddy Hield goes?
I don't. I think he's a valuable part of the trade. Only if a team blows them away with the offer. But I agree with you with what you said. Like a contending team, because Indiana's not making the playoffs this year. A contending team that needs a valuable shooter. Buddy Hield could be great for them on a playoff run. So I can see that happening. But I think a team would have to blow away Indiana with an offer, knowing that they just traded for him.
Yeah, I think they're wanting like a first.
Yeah, and some teams aren't. He's a solid player. He's a a little bit below 20 points per game. But I don't know if teams are willing to give up a first. But we'll see.
Yeah.
If a team believes like this is their year and they just need to add another piece, I can see it happening. So only time will tell.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from my Hawks, but I wouldn't mind having Buddy if they send off Bogey's been playing a little bit better as of late, but if we send like that first that we got from the Knicks along with maybe Bogey, I'd be okay with that and getting Buddy Hield in return. And I feel like that's kind of enough. Like Bogey's another shooter that can kind of create for himself. He has knee issues here and there, but you're also getting a first that you're asking for. So I feel like that's easily compensatable. That works, and it should be something that could probably go through. I think the contracts aren't too far off in numbers. I know Bogey gets 18 mil. I don't know how much Buddy gets, but I don't think it's over 22 mil. So it could be something that can happen. I don't know if that's on their radar or not, but I wouldn't mind it at all. Next. Myles Turner, he's been in trade discussions pretty much since he's landed in Indiana. Everybody's been saying they need want a big. Boston's always been linked to him. In recent days, I forgot the two teams, but there's two specific teams that have been saying that they could use Myles Turner. Can't think of it right now. It'll probably come to me in a second. But traded or not, do you think they get rid of him? They did get rid of Sabonis. They did get rid of they got rid of Justin Holiday. They got rid of what's they got rid of? Literally, the only person that they didn't get rid of was Duarte, their first round draft pick from this year. They played Atlanta last night, and I couldn't even really. Besides, I think Torrey Craig. I don't know who else was really out on or Torrey Craig and Washington Jr. from Ohio State. Outside of those three, I didn't know who else was on the court, to be honest. So, traded or not, do you think Myles Turner finally gets dealt?
They've been circling around it for a while. I don't know what Indiana's doing. I don't know if they're completely rebuilding or not. But I think, I think he does, a young team that's, could potentially be right there. You name Boston. Charlotte needs a big. I know a lot of teams have been saying if Charlotte gets a big, they can contend a little bit in the East.
Charlotte, that was the team, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm going to say he does get traded, though. A team puts together an offer, a desperate team, like I said before. A team that's I'd say, fourth or fifth in the East or West, and they feel like this is their biggest need. He's a valuable player, a good player, just not on a winning team right now. And I know he'd love to go to a team that's going to be playing in June. In late May. So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know who does, but I feel like it's just a year. It's been 3 or 4 years. Somebody has to finally, take him on. And he's not bad. He's a great rim protector, great rim runner. A lot of teams could use his need. So, but that does it for the guys that I feel like. Is there any guys that you feel like may or may not get traded that we didn't really mention? Like I said, there's a few that kind of took themselves out of it. I was going to put Bradley Beal in it. I was going to put Jaylen Brown in it as well. But I feel like Boston has made it clear that they're not trading him. Yeah, those are the main two that I could think of. Other than that, is there anybody you think that could get traded that's maybe a notable name that's been kind of circling out there that we didn't mention?
Nah.
Yeah. But next, real quick before we move on to our last little segment about the Super Bowl, give out some quick predictions before our big show on Saturday. But this is the AllStars that we've had for this year. Obviously, LeBron captain again, Durant captain again. To our left, we have, actually, no, they got it all mixed in. I was about to say to our left, we got East, and to right, the West, but they got it all mixed in. I know the two replacements, LaMelo and DeJounte Murray aren't on here. Obviously, they're injury replacements for Durant and Draymond Green. But overall, were there any snubs or anybody that you felt like should have made it or shouldn't be on this list? Ahead of an All-Star weekend upcoming weekend, next weekend?
I'm going to give LaMelo and DeJounte, credit. So I'm not going to say take them off the list, but I would have liked to see on the East. In the East, I would have liked to see Jaylen Brown make the All-Star team. I think he had an All-Star worthy season. Even though the Celtics struggled as of late, they've been playing well down the stretch, especially defensively. And then on the West, it's no, my fault. That's the East too. But I think Pascal Siakam's had a quiet season. I know the Raptors aren't the best or what they were with Kawhi or with DeMar for a good part of his career there, but he's been having a good season as well. They have a young group, and I think they're okay. They're not as bad as people think they are, and I think he's been having a pretty solid season. And I would like to see him make it along with his teammate Fred VanVleet. So those are my two snubs.
Yeah, Fred had a nice year. The Raptors overall, they've had a nice little stretch of games these past few weeks. I think elevating themselves all the way to the 6th, maybe 5th spot now. Not too sure about after results last night, but they've moved up quite a bit and have a great year. I like their team a lot as well, but like I said, Pascal's had a quiet year. I can see him being a snub. Jaylen Brown as well for sure. Like I said, it's kind of the same thing with them. The Celtics had kind of like a slow start, but they picked it up as of late as well. My snubs, I don't even know if it's really a snub. I can see why they voted DeJounte in. He's had a great year and has the Spurs probably have won a lot more games than a lot of people would have expected them to at this point of the year. I know he's averaging like 19. I forgot how many assists. I think it's around like 7 or 8. But he's having a pretty good year as well. I would have liked to see Anthony Edwards in there. I know he's been kind of up and down here and there, but obviously he's been solid except for his second campaign. He's increased all his averages and field goal percentage as well. So I feel like he was deserving of it a bit. He hasn't missed many games. Obviously he brings that wow factor, but I definitely see why they would put vote DeJounte Murray in over him. But of course, Anthony Edwards is going to make a few in his time in the NBA. His time is coming for sure. But that's the one I kind of I knew there was probably between him and DeJounte for the West and for that for the spot to replace Draymond Green. And in the East, I already felt like it was going to be LaMelo. I kind of agree with the same ones that you said. They got Darius Garland in as a reserve, and the only one, if we're talking, I guess the guys I feel like probably shouldn't have made it from the initial jump. I didn't really agree or see why they had Jimmy Butler in there. He's missed a bunch of time this year. I know Miami's the number 1 seed, and it was kind of like same thing with the Phoenix Suns, even though they have Devin Booker and Chris Paul as reserves instead of we're voting as starters. But at the time, the Heat were the number 1 seed. But, I feel like, honestly, Tyler Hero has been their best and most consistent player outside of Bam when he's in the lineup. I can see why they got Jimmy in there, obviously, but at the same time, I was like, I'm not too sure about that. I don't know if he's an all-star this year. Outside of that, I kind of agreed with everyone else. I mean, Chris Middleton, I can see why they had him there as well. But, it's just certain guys that it's unfortunate each and every year. Like, they're having good seasons, having great seasons for their teams, but, don't get voted in or aren't replacements. But those are the guys I kind of had in mind this year. But all in all, hopefully it's a good all-star game. Can't wait to see the draft. Obviously it's Thursday, which is tomorrow at 6:30. Can't wait to see where my guy Trey ends up on, what team he's on, and some other guys as well. But hopefully we have another good year, another good all-star. I guess we'll probably talk about it in a different episode, probably one right before all-star hits, but they just announced some of the guys that's in the dunk contest and 3-point contest. So I guess we'll pick our winners and everything from them as well. But last thing we're going to hit on before we maybe hit on some things that maybe grind our gears this week. Little quick preview of the Super Bowl. Just ideas. We'll just give our overall thoughts of one, just the Bengals making the Super Bowl, because I don't think we had a show after the AFC Championship or AFC and NFC Championship. And just our thoughts going into the weekend, what we expect, what we hope happens, just certain things like that. And like I said, on Saturday, we'll go into all the details, individual performances, who has to have the best performances, the best guys on the field, some prop bets as well. But just your overall feelings about this Super Bowl and this matchup there.
Excited for the matchup. It's a little different. The Rams were here about 2-3 years ago, and the Bengals haven't been here in my lifetime. First off, happy for the Bengals. They're resilient all year, banged up at times, Joe Burrow got beat up, and the team, followed the motto of the quarterback, just, fall down 10 times, get up 11 if you got to. They were down 21-3, and if you told me that, they were going to come back on the Chiefs in the Arrowhead, I told you were a liar, and I just never would have expected this to happen, and they're resilient, and their defense really stepped up. And just kudos to them because, like, in the previous game, you're not supposed to win a game in Tennessee only scoring, 19 points, but their defense stepped up, bottled up King Henry when they had to, and they just, stepped up and did what good teams do. Really just happy for them, Joe Burrow getting hurt his first year and then being back in the Super Bowl his second year, and then them just hitting on these draft picks and, years past and then finally paying off. Just looking forward to the matchup. It's going to be tough. Two high-powered offenses, but I just, the Bengals going against this Rams D-line is going to be, one of the bigger tests. Just happy to see the stars on both sides and the matchups we're going to see. Jamar Chase versus Jalen Ramsey versus T. Higgins. The offensive line versus Aaron Donald and Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. On the other side, Eli Apple versus Odell and Cooper Kupp to see how he fares because, he talks a lot. Jesse Bates versus Tyler Higbee, and then, the trenches versus Cam Akers. And then the coaching matchup, Zach Taylor and Sean McVay know each other. They know their tendencies. So how will Zach Taylor help his defensive coordinator put together a game plan to, stop what he likes to do? And on the other end, will Raheem Morris, will Sean McVay help him on how to stop Zach Taylor? So just looking forward to the chess match and the individual matchups. I know we're going to get into more later, but just happy to see the Bengals season pay off. And, the Rams put all their chips in. They said, we don't need draft picks. We're going to depend on players that have already, established themselves in the league, and we know what they're capable of. And, it paid off. So it's just see how this game turns out, and I can't wait for Sunday.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, I think it's gonna be a great matchup. Two high-power offenses. Obviously, what a lot of people are pointing to is probably going to be the main difference is maybe, that defensive line for the Rams versus the offensive line for the Bengals. But like Joe Burrow, or Joe Burrow as they be calling him, has shown time and time again, he can fight through a bad offensive line. Like you said, had multiple or 2 games in a row where he was sacked multiple times, but still, came out on top, came out with the win. Like I said, I definitely expect it to be high scoring, high powered. I know it's going to be a great game. Like I said, it's matchups everywhere to look at. Like I said, offensive line, defensive line, Jalen Ramsey on Jamar Chase, the coaching matchup against 2 young coaches, 38 and 36, respectively, for those 2. And 2 guys that's just never been there before, Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow, at least on this level. So it's going to be a good one overall. I know that Cincinnati probably wasn't most people's picks, throughout the year, but they're definitely a Cinderella story and one I think a lot of people are going to, be excited to tune in for and be up for. Obviously, we haven't talked about the halftime show, something we'll probably talk about on Saturday, but that's supposed to be a big game as well, or a big thing as well, something that we wish that we had when we had our Super Bowl in Atlanta, people that actually are native here to put on for the show versus Maroon 5, but they got them a great group of people that's supposed to perform during the halftime show as well. But I'm definitely excited for it. Definitely excited to talk about it on Saturday as well, and just get into the meat and potatoes of it all, and then into the details too. And like I said, the game is 6:30 on Sunday. It's crazy. I think I scheduled for me and my girl to have a dinner, so I'm probably going to be having to watch it on my phone under the table, because I think we're supposed to go to dinner at 7 and Super Bowl at 6:30. I didn't even think about it till just now, but all in all, I know it's going to be a good game. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to get into it. And like I said, I don't know if you want to give your prediction now. I've been on the Rams bandwagon. I feel like they're going to pull it out, but I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be maybe a 3 to 6 point win. What about you, Thad?
I'm going to wait until Saturday to talk about it, but I'm anticipating a great matchup on both sides. The way this, the easy thing to do, I'm going to wait till Saturday, but the easy thing to do would, be to pick the Rams. But the way the season is gone, you don't know how this game is going to go. You really just don't know. And it's the year of the underdog, so we'll see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that does it for today. Real quick, if you do have anything that you're thinking about that is grinding your gears, that has grinded your gears throughout the week, one of the ways we're going to end off our show nowadays. So anything that's happened, anything that's, sparked your mind, anything or anyone that's grinded your gears this week, Dad?
Nah, you can go first with this one.
For me, I'm trying to think. I had one earlier. Honestly, it's not too much that's been grinding my gears this week. If I was to point to anything or anyone, it would be. I was in a basketball space. I was in a Twitter space, right? I guess it was a Hawks one. They do a Hawks one after the games. So the Toronto, basically the Hawks fans were kind of talking a little bit because they felt like we was going to win because Trey didn't play the first game against Toronto. So he played the second game against Toronto and we was like, all right, it should be easy win, easy dub. So afterwards or whatever, all the Toronto fans was coming in kind of like talking shit or whatever. And it was this one kind of like, I don't know. It's just, I guess what's grinding my gears this week is basically people not listening. Like, basically all the Hawks, because I just listened, but all the Hawks guys was giving props to Van Fleet, gave props to Siakam, gave props to Nick Nurse, was giving props to the team as a whole, right? And then just saying, like, basically just talking about the faults of the Hawks. So each and every time the Hawks guy invited a Toronto guy up to talk, they kept saying, oh, y'all ain't giving props. Trae Young this, Trae Young that. Van Fleet's better than Trae Young. Like, y'all don't want to talk about how we did this and that. And it was like, they talked about all that. It's like, it's not a Toronto Raptors space. It's a Hawks space. So they're going to obviously give props where it's due, but they're going to talk about the things that the Hawks did wrong. So then this one girl came up and she basically was doing that same thing. So somebody said something about like her not listening. And so she just started going off, started yelling, like, oh, you're not going to talk to me like that. Talk to me like that. I don't know you. I'm like, well, in a way, I'm kind of agreeing with them. Like, you should have listened, or you should have been, because she was saying she had been here from the very start. I'm like, nah, you obviously hadn't been there from the very start because they have been saying Van Fleet did play great. We played terrible, like from the very beginning. But just basically make this whole big raw. And then the dude, the Hawks TV guy, I had him on our little Hawks fly through one time. He had to put out a whole public announcement basically apologizing to her and saying that they need to make this space a safer space and not to bully, because she felt like she was being bullied. So my whole thing is, what's grinding my gears this week is just know what you're talking about, or listen, or just don't make things as serious as what they're supposed to be. Like, he didn't even say nothing super disrespectful. Like, it didn't have to be that serious. And I've learned that Toronto Raptors fans and their spaces and everything that they got going on is crazy. They might be more annoying than Knicks fans, and that's saying something. So that's what was grinding my gears this week is fans. You could be fans, but just y'all taking certain stuff overboard. Like, he shouldn't have to put out a whole public apology for feeling like you were bullied in the spaces where they just said that you need to listen more because they address what you were talking about. So I know I made that long, but people stop taking stuff so seriously. We're fans of each team. Have fun in these spaces. Don't take stuff so serious.
I couldn't really, think of one. So I'm going to just keep it short and simple. It was kind of annoying to me. We talked about it earlier, the steroids thing, keeping people out of the MLB Hall of Fame, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. And you got guys like David Ortiz and Alex Rodriguez that will be in there, the Hall of Fame and stuff. They did the same thing and the punishment is different. And now you're talking about, we don't know if it's going to stick or not, but they're not testing for steroids. It's kind of pretty, kind of annoying that you ruined not the career, because, we know who these guys are as players, but if you competed a professional sport at any level, you want to make it to the Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure that's your dream if you're playing, and for them to be, kept out of the brotherhood of the top. I don't know what it is for the MLB, but top 500 or whatever, 400 best players of all time. It sucks, and I know that's pretty annoying. It bothers me, but if they get if they eventually stop testing for steroids, they have to let these guys in. But, it's kind of unfortunate the situation they're in. So that's what grinds my gears for this week.
Exactly. I feel that. And it's like, I don't even know how they do it, because like you test out after 10 years, like you can't be put back on the ballot, and, they rightfully so should be in there. We're going to be talking about this at the end of time. But all in all, that does it for today's show. Last thing I do want to say is, of course, visit built.com. Check them out. They're our sponsors. If you use all caps off the ball, you will get 10% off of your purchase. Like I said, they got a bunch of great flavors, mixed box flavors, and they do a bunch of promos each and every week as well. So check them out. Shout out to everybody on Off the Ball Network. Shout out to everybody watching right now, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and just continue to rock with us. be back with us for Saturday. I'm pretty sure we'll have a lot of guys from Out the Ball Network for our big Super Bowl preview show. Like I said, tune in to that and be on the lookout for that 5 p.m. on Saturday. And other than that, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for supporting. And we'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one.